to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
Pledge allegiance to the Texas.
One state under God,
One and indivisible.
Our other big ideas is to make smart decisions. Friends can be a big influence in the way you make decisions. Choosing good friends, treating them with kindness, and making sure you have lots of things in common will help make sure that your friends will make smart decisions with you.
Good morning. I'm here with some positive student referrals. This is Christopher. He is in first grade, Mrs. Nallen's class. Never tardy for school, polite, respectful behavior, consistently in following rules. Chris is a hard worker. He is kind and follows classroom and Kimball rules. Thank you, Chris, for being a great role model for our class. Julie. This is Julie. She's in first grade, Mrs. Nallen's class. Never tardy for school, polite and respectful behavior, consistency in following rules. Julie comes in cheerfully each day, ready to work. She is eager to help the teacher, is responsible with her work and classroom job, and is always a nice person to know. Great work, Julie. Jenna. She is in first grade, Mrs. Nallen's class. Never tardy for school, polite and respectful behavior, helping another student, consistency in following rules. Jenna is always focused on learning enthusiastically. She eagerly helps her friends and comes prepared to learn. Great job, Jenna. Sammy. This is Sammy, first grade, Miss Nallen's class. He found some money on the floor and turned it in to find its owner. Thank you, Sammy, for doing the right thing and making good choices. Excellent job, Sammy. I'm proud of you. Zayden. This is Zayden. He's in 5th grade, Mrs. Kirkendall and Mrs. Stewart's class. His homeroom teacher is Mrs. Kirkendall. Never tardy for school, polite and respectful behavior, consistency in following rules. Zayden always says thank you. He is a hard worker and does a wonderful job. Keep up with the work in both classes. Thank you. Tori. This is Tori, 5th grade, Mrs. Kirkendall, Miss Stewart's class, homeroom teachers, Miss Kirkendall. Never tardy for school, polite and respectful behavior, helping another student, consistency in following rules. Tori has done a great job keeping up with his work and turning it in on time. He always helps Mrs. Featherston, Dr. Featherston, in PE. Great job. Thank you. Solomon. The Solomon, 6th grade. He is in Mrs. Pereira's class, but Mrs. Kinsworthy wrote this referral for him. Polite, respectful behavior. Oh, my words are not coming this morning. Helping another student, consistency in following rules. Solomon has been a delight to have in class. He always gives me 100% and expects the same of the kids that are in class with him. Thank you, Solomon, for being a leader and not a follower. Excellent job, Solomon. All right, now I have several teacher positive referrals. This one is for Mrs. Kirkendall from Mrs. Stewart. Helped out in a gym, makes the building a nicer place to be, provides moral support, a nice person to work with, shared a great ideas and materials with me. And she says it's a joy to work with her, love collaborating with her. I have one for Mrs. Johnson from Mrs. Piyaka. Provided moral support, a nice person to work with, shared a great idea and materials with me. Best partner and friend. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson, for always being there for me. You are truly amazing and awesome. I'm so lucky to have you as a mentor and friend. You are the best. This one is for Mrs. Hernandez and Mrs. Henson in the front office from our nurse, Mrs. Van Heist. She says, helping out in a gym. When the nurse was in another clinic, they stepped in and did what was required. Thank you. This is for Mrs. Jones from Mrs. Johnson. Makes the building a nicer place to be, a nice person to work with. I'm proud of you for joining ETIP. So that's a new program through our district. This one's for Mrs. McDonald from Mrs. Johnson. Makes the building a nicer place to be, a nice person to work with. I'm proud of you for joining ETIP. Those are our 2 teachers on our campus that have joined the ETIP program this year. This one is for Mrs. Hubbard from Mrs. Johnson. Makes the building a nicer place to be, a nice person to work with. The PTA board looks awesome, and I have to agree. This one is for Mrs. May from Mrs. Johnson. Makes the building a nicer place to be and a nice person to work with. This one's for Mrs. Piaka from Mrs. Kinsworthy. Shared a great idea and materials with me and other. Miss Piaka conferenced with me on different strategies she could use with her students to improve handwriting and spelling. She wants to make sure her dyslexic and non-dyslexic students are getting everything they need to be successful. This is for Miss Martin from Mrs. Kinsworthy, a nice person to work with. Shared a great idea and material with me, other. Miss Martin went to an after-school event to learn more about dyslexia. She does not have any current students with dyslexia. I appreciate her taking time out of her schedule to better serve her students and educate herself in this area. This one's for Miss Johnson from Miss Kinsworthy, a nice person to work with. Shared a great idea and material with me, other. Miss Johnson stopped me and asked me how she could better accommodate her students with dyslexia while they were with her. I appreciate this since she is subbing and didn't have to take the time to do this. Thank you. All right, those are all my referrals. Thank you so much for writing these, teachers, for your students and teachers for other teachers. Great job. Thank you.
Today we have one very special birthday. It's Gracie from Miss Randolph's class, and she is turning 9.
Happy, happy birthday, make our dreams come true. Woo! Happy, happy birthday, cheers to all of you.
That's it for the morning announcements. We hope to see you back tomorrow morning.